Welcome to Young Voices Changing the Currents. I'm your host, Haley Platt. My goal is to create a safe space that inspires students to share, inspire, and shape their futures together. Special thank you to our sponsors, Siembra Mobile. Thank you for listening today and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's dive right in. Hi, welcome to Young Voices Changing the Currents. My name is Haley Platt and I am your host. Today I'm really excited because I have my first high school student on the podcast. This is going to be awesome because I have only really interviewed older students who were pre-COVID college applicants, and now we have a senior who is ready to take on the next chapter. So welcome, Natalia Padilla.
Hi, thank you so much for inviting me.
Of course. Thank you so much for being here. So, just a little bit about Natalia, just to get started. She goes to school in San Jose, California, and she is a current senior. So, we're at the big spot in the year, and I'm excited to share more about what Natalia has been feeling the last few years and the last few months. So, just to start out, if you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and how your senior year has been going so far.
Okay. Hi, my name is Natalia. Like you said, I'm a senior. I go to Notre Dame San Jose High School. I'm currently doing track, so I'm in my track season, and I'm kind of just waiting to hear back from a bunch of schools right now.
Yeah.
Um, and hopefully I'll be committing sometime soon. Um, yeah,
That's
that's
great. Yeah. So, of course, it's a pretty stressful part of your year, but I'm glad everything's going well. And it sounds like track is a great outlet for you. So, let's talk a little bit more about that. How do you think being a student athlete, you have a lot of emotions and stress and anxiety. Do you think being a student athlete helps with those as having an outlet?
It definitely helps because I'm able to put like all the stress and like negativity I feel into my practice, and it helps me like relieve that stress through like physical activity, which is like good for my health,
Of
but it
course.
also like kind of also amplifies the stress at the same time, just
Mhm.
because I get home at like 7, and then I take a shower, I eat, and then by that time it's like 8:30, I still have homework and then
Yeah.
other responsibilities, so it's like it helps, and then I get that stress back, so it's kind of like a back
Yeah.
and thing.
Yeah, I myself was an athlete too, so I get having a back and forth and a rigorous schedule. But do you think, I mean, obviously it's great to have it, um, and track is something that you can keep running in college and,
Mm.
find outlets to do that as you continue on. Very versatile, versatile sport.
Love
Um,
sport.
yes. Okay, so let's now move a little bit into. I know you don't know where you're going yet, but did you tend to apply to schools close to home or kind of a range?
I applied to a mix of schools. I applied to a lot of schools out of state, but I also applied to a lot of schools more in like SoCal. I didn't
Nice.
apply to any schools really, really close because to me that was something that I was looking for. I wanted to be a little farther from home. But I feel like I applied for a good mix of in-state and out of state.
Good. Yeah. And when you were looking for those schools, what was something that jumped out to you as maybe not a non-negotiable, but any like specific programs or majors that you're interested in?
For me, I've always been like kind of certain that I wanted to do something in the medical field. So to make sure that they had biology or pre-med advising was really big for me.
Mhm.
I also wanted to make sure that it didn't have to be in a big city, but very close to one. Just
Yeah.
because I feel like I grew up in a city where the few times I've gone out and I visited kind of like the like countryside or like really small towns, like it's nice for a little bit, but I cannot see myself living
Yeah.
there. I think I would go crazy. Like I I feel like
Need the activity for sure.
I need like that activity, like that like big bustle and hustle of a city. So that
Yeah.
was definitely two things that were really important for me.
Good. Yeah, I feel like it's important to obviously narrow down what type of school you want to go to. I knew I wanted to be far away too, so you're not alone on that. It's a great opportunity to step out of your comfort zone, and kind of just take on new places and see because home will always be there. So that is definitely my feelings about that as well. Okay, so let's move into, kind of the more challenging parts of the admissions process. Um, what do you think the biggest challenge you've faced during the process so far is, and how did you overcome it?
I feel like the biggest challenge I think I'm still kind of facing is just waiting for financial aid because I feel like the actual admission process wasn't that hard. Obviously, the rejections like that hurts. Like,
Yeah.
but once I finally get in, it's kind of just like, okay, now I just have to wait to see if I can actually afford to go.
Hmm.
Because I mean, financial aid again is was kind of big for me because I grew up as a single mom and FAFSA doesn't really take in consideration the cost of living in the Bay Area, which is like
Yeah.
significantly higher than a lot of other places. And so when it comes to financial aid, like I'm getting some money, but not as much as I actually need to actually attend the school, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
obviously that's a one of the biggest points of college right now, is that you need money to go. So it is a big factor in your decision making. But um, fingers crossed that you keep getting more and
yeah.
more. And how do you think, obviously you're still in the process of getting stuff back, but how do you think that, your experience going through the process so far and everything submitted, so it's pretty much out of your control at this point. Um, has any of that stress been alleviated because you feel like you're not having a mental checklist anymore, or do you still feel at this point in the year that it's grown?
Um, I think for me, I know for like some of my friends, they've said that it's kind of alleviated, but for me, I feel like it's definitely kind of grown because again, I did apply to a lot of school or like a good amount of schools out of state.
Hmm.
I know that I can't like afford to go visit every college that I applied to. Like obviously like I looked at pictures, took online like campus tours, but it's definitely
Hmm.
not the same as going in person. And also the stress of like moving away from like my mom, my brother, and my grandma. Like I work, so I know some of my income goes to them too. So it's kind of just like wondering how that's gonna work when
Yeah.
I
And these are
so
obviously really real challenges that a lot of students, you're definitely not alone on, contributing to their family in different ways and kind of making that decision to be far from home, just reminding you that your family will love you no matter where you go. But obviously, it is a real challenge, and I think you seem to have be level-headed about it at least. Um, and how do you think that experience like shaped your confidence?
I feel like it's kind of made me more confident in myself because I feel like I have the confidence and I have like the will and strength to be able to move far away,
Hmm.
be able to deal with it on my own. But it's also kind of made me a little hesitant to do that because I know I can, but I also don't want to put all that stress and stuff on my mom.
Yeah.
Um, But again, I do feel confident in myself that I can make that decision for myself and that if it really comes to it, I will. Because unfortunately, actually, no, not unfortunately. Fortunately, my future is very important to me.
Yes, yes, and you obviously have put in the work so far, so have to keep it going, but you're almost to the end, so you'll get there eventually. Um, and let's talk more about your support system. Your family sounds to be super close. Obviously, you have a tight knit community in San Jose. Your grandma's there. If you want to talk a little bit more about them and
My family has always been a big part of like my support system and just like a big part of me in general. I'm Mexican American, so growing up like that, like the family values has always been kind of like ingrained in me. Like I like family should always be number one. That's what
Mhm.
I've always been taught. So for me, like leaving my family, that's gonna suck really bad. I know I'm gonna cry, but I do think that at the end of the day, it will be better and I know that if I stayed, or if I stay, or I choose a different route, I'm not gonna be happy. And
Yeah,
while family is very important, they also taught me that my happiness is also important.
yeah.
So yeah.
Well, whatever path you choose, Just go with your gut. I know I've had a few people on so far who we've talked about looking back now, like what would we have told our 18-year-old selves? And we've all would have said in some capacity that it's all going to be okay and everything's going to work out. So, yeah, it is nice to see that, you have felt the confidence in the last few months. You've done the process. You're waiting to hear back, but you feel good about everything so far. So, um, that's great. Okay, so let's move on to, obviously the end of your year is coming up, but what are some emotions or fears that you have about the transition?
One of the biggest ones I have for me is like I like meeting new people, but I feel like just the anxiety of reaching out and stuff because I'm definitely gonna need like roommates, and I'm worried that like I'm gonna get a bad roommate and like I'm not gonna have my own room anymore, so that's gonna suck. But I feel like I also need that bond. And my school also doesn't have finals. Like we just do projects
Mhm.
instead of like a big like final grade. So I think that's a big fear for mine to have to go from like not having to worry about that really to having to study for finals just because I'm really not used to that like final like this is going to be your grade kind
Yeah.
of kind of like grading system. I also think that like because I did apply to a lot of schools in SoCal, I didn't really apply to any schools in NorCal. So it will be like a new area of life, like literally and like physically. Like I won't be like in the Bay Area anymore. So it's gonna be definitely tough and new handling everything by myself, but
Mhm.
it's gonna work out. I know it will.
Totally. And I think, I mean, as a non-native Californian, I definitely see a difference between Southern California and Northern California. Um, but I do think that there's so many students from California who choose to stay in California, whether it's staying where they grew up, or flipping. But it is, I think it will bring a sense of comfort if you do stay in state with the amount of people that come from California because there's just so many students and a lot of them have similar experiences to you as well. So I think that will be a nice moment of if you're feeling a little homesick, you'll have someone there, who's been in a similar position as you or has the same sort of feelings. And then obviously, if you go out of state as well, it can be challenging. I know from experience it's really hard to be away from your family, but I think it makes you appreciate all the great things about your home. Um, so that when you do go back, it's a nice little reminder and it feels a little nostalgic because once you get so far away from your hometown and where you're in my position where I'm in post grad now, I feel like that 5 years ago feels like forever ago, and truly a lot of change and your personality, and you get older and you develop into a, I wouldn't say a new person, but you definitely have better idea of who you are. So it's a scary process, but it can be fun at times too to look back. Um, So let's transition back a little bit to your high school experience. Was there a moment where you felt unsure of your place or your abilities?
Definitely unsure about my place. I go to a private school and like I'm not like poor, like I'm not like but I'm not like super rich, and a lot of these girls that I go to school with, I feel like are definitely on the wealthier side. So when I first, like my freshman year, I would come in and a lot of these girls would talk about these like big fancy vacations they've been on, or that their parents are super well established and can just like afford to pay them through college. And hearing that was kind of like, whoa, like that was kind of shell shocking for
Yeah.
me because I know that I can't relate to that. And I also my elementary school and my middle school was like predominantly like Vietnamese and then Mexican. So I was always like kind of surrounded by people kind of like me too. So going to like a private school with like a bunch of like people on the wealthier side was like kind of very intimidating. It was very intimidating.
Yeah.
But I feel like I was able to kind of overcome that. My feeling like that I didn't belong there was because like I joined like our Latinas Unidas or our Latino Student Union, and then also our first generation student union. So I was able to like kind of meet people kind of like me, and
Yeah.
also make friends with people who were similar to me, while also like kind of like still even being friends with people that weren't like me. Like I feel like
Mhm.
I still was able to grow that bond even if like socioeconomically we couldn't relate to each other. I was
Yeah.
still able to relate to them on like personality level and like struggling in our like AP bio class or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's an important thing to address, especially because, not everyone who goes to a private school is there for, everyone's there for a different reason. And obviously it can be challenging if you've been around similar groups of people your whole life and then you go to a school and you're like, wait, that's not normal. And these people think taking these crazy vacations every year, like you're like, I don't do that. Um, so yeah, it can definitely be a challenging point. And I won't lie to you. Obviously, there are going to be situations like that in college because it's so many different people coming together, and so the scale just gets wider and wider and wider, and you'll have people on either end. Um, but like you said, ultimately, it comes down to your personality and just being true to who you are, um, and just finding people through different clubs and stuff. And yeah, Latinas Unidas is a great way to do that. Um, and wherever you go to school, they'll have something like that, which you can continue on. Was there anyone that, when you were struggling with maybe the transition into the private school, or just this year with the college applications, anyone that really gave you that little extra nudge of support, um, or just kind of stick by you through it?
Um, at the beginning of like my freshman year, definitely my guidance counselor. She doesn't work here anymore, but she was the person that was like I would go to all the time and be like, "Hey, I'm feeling like this," and she would be like, "Okay, well, I think you should do this, this, and that, and join these clubs because it'll definitely help you." And I did, and she was 1,000% right. Um,
That's great.
she was very helpful when it came to that because she was also Latina and she was also first gen. So she was able to like connect with me in that. And even my new counselor, she's also Latina and she's also first gen. So even like now when I'm feeling kind of like, whoa, like I feel like this is scary. I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
doing. She was all like, girl, like I get you. Like I was in that.
Yeah.
And she'll help me in that way too. Same with like my family. My family was really big support for me. My mom was always all like, "You're there for a reason. They admitted you to Notre Dame for a reason. You got in for a reason."
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
so that was, I think, a big help. And in regards to like the college admission process, I do have like some friends who like their parents did go to college and are a little bit more well established. They kind of helped me in that regard too. Like they were helping me with like some of my essays and then also like how to even like sign up to take the SAT because I had no idea I had to do that until like literally like I think like beginning of my senior year. Like I didn't
Hmm.
take the SAT, so I
Yeah.
got really lucky. But yeah, so they were I think just my friends, family, and then my like school was a really big help when it came to just feeling like I like just finding that like feeling of fitting in,
Yeah.
of like starting this process.
That's great to hear that you had so many people, a great support system from your family and your counselors, but also that friends, parents were willing to help out. I think that's really special. Um, and yeah, obviously you learn a little bit more and you're like, wait, there's so much more I don't know. I feel like with the process, you learn one thing and then you realize how much more you still want to learn. Um, with that, how do you think the process differed from, like, what were some expectations that you had that changed?
I always thought that the college admission process was going to be like extremely stressful. Like I was going to be cracking under pressure like every other week. Like it really wasn't that bad in my opinion. I feel like the most stressful part was just finishing my essays on time and just
Mhm.
actually like finding like the like strength to go through and like okay, let's go over to this draft, let's fix it.
Yeah.
That was the hardest part. I thought FAFSA was going to be super difficult to fill out. We only had to fill it out for one parent, so it definitely was a little easier, but it wasn't that hard. I was able to get it done like within a day, so it
Good,
was,
yeah.
yeah, it wasn't hard, and yeah, I think I was thought it was just gonna be a lot more stressful than it actually was, and but it was fine. Like I feel
That's
like.
good, yeah. Um, and more specifically, I know we've talked a bit about your essays, but how do you think for, the younger students who are struggling to think about what to write about for next year, do you have any advice on how you picked your topic?
My topic was really like niche, but a little strange. Because my Common App essay was about how I'm born on a Thursday and how it's like hard to explain low
You
key.
don't have to get into the whole thing, but maybe just kind of getting at, the uniqueness. Like, how do you think you were able to show your personality through the essay?
For
Because it
me,
sounds like a really cool topic.
for me, okay. I found my essay topic through I was really sad and I just started pouring my heart out onto some Google Doc. And I didn't actually think this was going to be my essay. I thought it was I had written a whole other essay about one of my sports, cross country.
Mhm.
So I wrote about that, but then I showed my other essay to my friend and she was like, "Wait, Nat, this is really good. Like if you just clean this up a little and make it like not so emotional, I think you could
Yeah.
good with it." So I was like, okay. So I asked one of my English teachers and then our journalism teacher here at ND to like kind of like help me like clean it up. And they both were like, this is really unique. Like I feel like you got something with this. So I think for me, the biggest advice I can give is that like if it's something special to you, write about it. It doesn't matter what it is. Like
Yeah.
the
I would
cliche.
say the
It
same.
doesn't matter if it's super small because mine it's about me being born on Thursday and how it relates to some poem. Like it's like it's it my it, on paper it sounds like a mess, but if it really means that much to you, write about it. It doesn't matter how little it
Yeah. And you
doesn't
can
matter
always
how
tweak
big it
it.
is. You could always like edit it, and once you feel like you're in a good place and you like it, then go with it because it's probably going to be a lot more special than you think it is.
Yes, I would say, yeah, that's great advice. I also would say to add on to that, having people that know you really well, like your parents and your friends, read it and just, I would even just say, can you just read it and tell me if it sounds like me? Like, do you think this sounds like something I would write? Because the reality is, especially nowadays, there's so many online like tools that you can use.
Yeah.
I do not even go on them. I would say just ask the people around you, and exactly like you said, it'll be better than you think it is. And as we're wrapping up, finally, what do you think is a piece of advice that you could share for the younger students?
For okay, I have some things written out. The first one I have is that everything will happen for a reason. Like I feel like my junior year was really rough. But I feel like that's also helped me a lot as like a person. It being so rough like helped me kind of grow and
Hmm.
see like, okay, things are gonna happen and you just have to deal with it. You have to deal with it, you have to get over it because life will throw literally the craziest things at you.
Yeah,
You just have to like
just deal with it and keep
like,
going.
okay, yeah, sure. Like
Yeah,
you just have to
yeah,
like, yeah, sure. And also like say yes. Like if someone offers you an opportunity or says like, hey, let's go out, like obviously if it's not like coinciding with something else, say yes because you don't know the next time you're gonna be with those people. You don't know when the next time you're gonna have a chance to make those memories. And I feel like high school is those 4 years where you should really focus on making those memories.
yeah,
Um, because I feel like I have so many good memories, but I also, looking back, there's so many things I wish I would have said yes to. And the last thing I have is that look for things that you want to do, not because you think they'll look good on your application. Because I know a lot of people that are doing like clubs and stuff because like, oh, it's gonna look good when the UCs or this really elite Ivy school looks at it. Like they're gonna see like 1,000 other people with the same thing. They
yeah.
want people that stand out. So do something that means something to you, not because, oh, it's gonna look good on my application. And
I've
that's,
said it better myself. Exactly.
I feel like that's all the advice I would give to someone younger than me. Oh, and lock in your junior year. Lock in.
Yes, you have to be
It's gonna
focused.
it's gonna suck, but you
Senior
just have
year is the time for fun.
yeah.
And yeah, junior year, you got to just kind of pedal to the metal and hope for the best. Thank you so much for coming on today, Natalia. This was so great to hear from you. And of course, have more high school students on the podcast. We're always looking for younger kids because everything's happening in the college process for you right now. So it's definitely the height of the time. But I wish you so much success in your future, and I know that whatever school you end up at, you're going to do great. So thank you so much for coming on. Thank you to our listeners today. I appreciate your time and being here. And of course, like and subscribe so you never miss the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.